So a friend of mine came up to me today with the question, basically, where are all the caveman ghosts? And I was puzzled by this, and he's like, yeah, all the ghosts that you hear about are pretty much from like the Victorian era or the 1950s or the 1980s. You know, they're from murder scenes that we've heard about in our lifetime, but yeah, where are all the caveman ghosts? Because the cavemen ghosts should outnumber all other ghosts because they had like bajillions of years to collect. Where are all the caveman ghosts? And I said to him, you know what? If you were Catholic, you should be wondering, where are all the sperm ghosts? Because, forget the millions of cavemen that were created over bajillions of years. Think about the millions of maybe babies that I created just last week, because every sperm is sacred, right? And we were taking this out to absurd conclusions, but we were using, a little bit of logic, just a little bit, right? And applying different concepts. And so, I'm sorry, this channel is not supposed to be about Donald Trump at all anymore. But, although I really want to get away from it, all I get to see now is Trump's pinnacle of self-promotion in that he has dominated the news everywhere. And so I can't get my mind off of some of the things that have been said and done in the past couple weeks since he's taken the presidency and just done so much every fucking day that he's got people protesting everywhere. And I remembered an idea that was bantied about on the Breakfast Club, this side channel that I've filled in for on occasion, link in the description box. And that idea was, why don't we just resettle liberal voters from liberal states to the places where their vote would have mattered, because Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, but not the Electoral College, and so it was really just a matter of where these liberal voters lived. And I've been seeing all of these protests pop up everywhere, the most recent being in airports because of the Muslim ban, and the Women's March the day after the inauguration was so fucking huge, and there are so many articles that were written about it. So there's a lot of numbers involved in those articles, and I was like, if we just apply some logic here, using the numbers we have, how hard would it be to take one of those silly ideas like resettling people and actually fucking make it work? Actually make a difference doing something that fucking stupid. Because I can spend all day thinking about my maybe baby sperm baby spirit babies, right? Or I could actually fucking do something. And I could spend my time fucking holding a sign saying Trump sucks at every fucking place that Trump affects with everything he does, and just squander my resources zipping back and forth through town fucking looking for a place to scream. Or we could actually fucking do something about this and apply ourselves. So I was like, how much effort would it take to actually take some of this energy that's being expended in other places and actually change things? Taking the resettlement idea bandied about on the Breakfast Club, pretty much first pushed by Got That Funk. Let's say we've got a whole bunch of liberal people whose lives it would not matter if they moved from one state to another, from one large Democratic stronghold to a Republican state where the margin was the smallest. Well, the smallest margin, I know this, was actually Michigan, right? So we would need 11,837 votes, right? Just to tie, right? So 11,837 is a tangible number we can work with. Then, where do we have a whole bunch of fucking energy that's being expended? Well, let's say the Women's March that happened the day after the inauguration, it had an estimated 3.3 million people participating in it, right? And I'm guessing some of them had to pay for parking in downtown areas. Some of them had to spend some gas in order to get there. Many of them ate out afterwards. You know, they went to Applebee's and had the perfect martini, or they went to Starbucks. Lots of Starbucks sold on that day. I want Starbucks to release those numbers. Anyways, you got 3.3 million people, and that's the tangible number I'm working with there. The next number I'm working with is how much is it to buy and install a trailer, right? A trailer that somebody might be willing to live in with some land, you know. And I'm saying if we're going to do this in bulk, and just a ballpark figure off the top of my head, based on the price of trailers that I know, I'm saying $10,000 per person is going to do it. We're going to find a contractor that will underbid that and still get it done. And it won't be FEMA fucking trailers that make all of our transplant voters sick, okay? It's going to be like some standard livable trailers with some land, maybe some driveway. Anyways, they're going to be able to get their internet access to these trailers, and we're going to resettle them into Michigan. We could probably even buy out fucking factories in Detroit for cheaper than this. Okay, but I'm just going with basic trailer park, cubicle farm style. Let's just lay out a whole fucking city of liberal voters. How much would it fucking cost, right? Okay, so if we take my figure of $10,000, multiply it by the 11,837 votes, and then divide it by the 3.3 million fucking people that marched, how much money would we have to get from each one of those 3.3 million people in an Indiegogo fund in order to make this dream happen? Right? I've given you all the variables there, and if you're already clicking on your computer's calculator, good on you, because you're right there with me. You're like, fuck all this this fucking energy that gets expended and we don't get anything for it. Let's actually do fucking something, okay? And the answer is about $36. If you care enough to participate in a woman's march and hold signs and scream for fucking hours, like fucking hours, how much more likely would you be if you saw this plan in action happening, if you saw the Indiegogo pop up, you know, where people were actually giving to it? How much more likely would you be to work the overtime hours if you had the opportunity, or just give the money in order to get to $36 per person? You know, at minimum wage, that's like 4 extra hours of work for some people. For others, it's like 1 hour. For a well-established person who can afford to do all of these energy-intensive protests that really aren't doing anything but being vocal and being visible, but they're not actually solving the fucking problem. $36 fucking dollars per person would have done it. All of those people could have moved a whole bunch of liberal voters into trailers in Michigan, in a little trailer town, or possibly just set up something barrack style in communal living in all of the factories that are empty in Detroit that I'm sure you could get for a really good price right now. And it's only going to get better, if the economy tanks because of all that's going on. It's the price of those factories is only getting better, right? Plus, if you settle them in that factory area of Detroit, then they'll have public transportation to a lot of the amenities that they would have missed anyways, coming from, say, a state like California. You want to make sure that there's a Starbucks to greet all of these voters, right? And what kind of people are we going to select for the voters that we move, right? We can't select people that have jobs and need to stay in the state where they're at. We need 11,837 voters that have basically fixed income. So I'm talking about people who are disabled and on SSDI and are registered Democrat, right? These are the people we would approach and say, hey, would you please move from California, from LA to Detroit in a cluster of other people that are all of a like-minded mindset to take over factories and basically gentrify a whole section of Detroit? Would you be willing to do this? And just based on numbers out my ass off the top of my head, I'm saying we can find 11,837 people who would be willing to be resettled at a cost of $10,000 per person. Yes, we can find that. And yeah, we could probably find an Indiegogo, just enough momentum in an Indiegogo to raise this much goddamn money. I mean, every Indiegogo fucking thing that I've been seeing lately that's trying to raise money has been overshooting its expectations because Trump has branded fucking everything. Your feed on any sort of social media, your TV, your cable TV news, like everything. I imagine there's a whole bunch of fuckers that are like, there's nothing on TV but Pawn Stars. It reminds me of the fucking O.J. Simpson trial. Seriously, when there was nothing on TV in L.A., for like fucking 13 over-the-air channels, nothing but O.J. Simpson except for that one channel that made Ricky Lake a fucking household name because Ricky Lake was the only other thing fucking on, right? So yeah, it's actually fucking possible. This crazy fucking idea of resettling liberal voters to the swing states that Trump won, this is fucking possible. Like, why are we expending so much energy in things like drum circles and protests? And why are we clicking on things and sharing them on social media at a rate where if you took all of that energy in your day and just worked a couple overtime hours for a job, you would have the 36 fucking dollars it would take to just be a part of the movement to resettle people. For my part, Misty and I are actually looking into being delegates for the Democratic Party in 2018, and we're going to get involved. Misty's a little afraid of this because we're looking at the Trump playbook and comparing it to the Hitler playbook. I know there's a lot of Nazi references being bantied about, but if he were going by that same playbook, then Misty says he's probably going to start making lists next, and she doesn't want to be on those lists. And I'm like, are we the only people having this conversation where people are being dissuaded from participating in politics at all because they're afraid that the person that just got elected is going to create lists? And we're going to have something like Nazi Germany or the Red Scare that happened here in America if you join the Democratic Party. That's where we're at. That's all. So for me, it's like even more important that, yeah, I need to get back into politics and help swing this around, because I liked how my TV and social media were before this all happened. It was going to a good place, and now I can't enjoy most any of it. Because I hear of so many different people being affected by so many different things that Trump is doing. I'd actually like to start another Indiegogo fund for whatever political science major wants to start a study on the momentum shift, the pendulum shift that happens, every 10 years or so in America, where the opposition party takes control, because we need to master this. This is something that we need to keep from happening again, because every time this pendulum swings, it seems to get farther and farther to the extreme the other way. It was just a shift back and forth. Now it's like huge swings of power being grabbed and horrible things happening. We need to catch this pendulum on a good point where we don't have these shifts in public opinion, where we don't have this shift in laziness, this shift and I don't want to go out to the polls and, oh no, now that the thing that I don't want to happen happened, now I'm fucking energized. We need to stop this cycle. Let's fucking put an end to all this fucking bullshit. And if it takes me fucking giving $36 fucking dollars somewhere, that's a fucking huge benefit for not that much money. I would spend fucking $36. I would probably give $100 if this was actually a thing. If somebody was actually resettling people, I would be 3 people's worth of donation. And if we had people that could cover the people who couldn't give, who were still just as excited about this, I think that we could do some things that were tangible, fucking tangible, and actually change this. But instead, we're going to just fucking shatter and splinter off into each of our own little pet causes and start raising money for all of these different things that Trump has affected. The last one I saw was send the Iraqi veterans of war to the Standing Rock site so they can protest some more. And I saw they're trying to raise like $1,000 and they already raised $4,000. And the description of it said, "Oh, we're going to match the first $1,000 if you get it in by this date. And like on the first day, they're already fucking at 4,000. You know, I'm like, holy shit. You know, every uh, every fucking thing. Like, how much money is now being spent in all those lawyers making little tiny ACLU booths, you know, the impromptu ACLU stations in all of the airports, you know. Fucking Trump really has everyone fucking divided by just fucking steamrolling over everyone by just punching at every fucking little thing of the progressive stack he fucking can by signing, and everyone's fucking divided on the opposition because they're not coming together like they were for the Women's March. You know, they're coming together for every little thing.